The stolen ship hung in the darkness, above Earth like a waiting predator. Inside the cramped cockpit, K.L. Mach stared at the blue and green planet. Below, his clawed fingers tightened on the armrest of his chair. 30 years, 30 long years since he had last seen this cursed world, his reptilian eyes yellow, with vertical slits narrowed as memories flooded back, memories of pain, memories of shame, memories of defeat. K-Mox was Vin, a warrior species that had conquered 40 star systems. He stood 8 feet tall, covered in dark green scales. Harder than most metals, his muscles were thick and powerful, built for killing. Sharp teeth filled his mouth, and his claws could tear through steel. By all measures, he was a perfect predator, but 30 years ago a human had beaten him. A single primitive human named J1. The memory burned like acid in his mind. K-Mox had been younger then. Eager to prove himself, he had heard stories of Earth, the death world where impossible creatures called humans lived. They came from a planet with crushing gravity, extreme weather, and countless dangers, yet somehow they had not just survived but thrived. Young Vin warriors often came to Earth to hunt humans. It was a test of skill. Kill a Deathworlder, earn glory and respect. Kramich had been so confident when he landed in the wilderness of the Korean mountains. He had tracked J1 for 3 days. The human was a soldier, trained and strong, but K-Mox had better weapons, better armor, and the natural advantages of his species. The fight should have been easy. It was not easy. J1 had been cunning. He set traps. He used the terrain. He refused to fight fair. When Kramix's energy weapon ran out of charge, the human attacked with primitive firearms. When those ran out, he used blades. When the blades broke, he used rocks in his bare hands. The battle lasted 2 days. K-Mox had never fought anything so relentless. Humans did not stop. They did not give up. Even bleeding and broken, J1 kept coming. His species had evolved as persistence. Hunters chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. That same terrible endurance made them nightmare opponents in combat. In the end, K-Mox had lost. J1 had beaten him unconscious and left him alive, a mercy that felt worse than death. When K-Mox returned to his people, he was cast out from the warrior caste. He was a failure, a disgrace. For 30 years he had trained. He had upgraded his body with cybernetic enhancements. He had studied combat techniques from a dozen species. He had made himself stronger, faster, deadlier than ever before, all for this moment, all for revenge. Beginning planetary scan, the ship's computer announced in its flat mechanical voice. Kral watched as data streamed across his screen. He expected to see the Earth. He remembered a primitive world with basic technology and scattered cities. What he saw made his blood run cold. The planet below was covered massive mega cities that stretched for hundreds of miles. Gleaming towers of metal and glass reached toward the sky. Orbital stations circled the planet. Perfect formations. Defense satellites bristled with weapons. He did not recognize. This cannot be right, K-Mox muttered. He ran the scan again. Results were the same. In just 30 years, Earth had transformed. The technology readings showed advancement far beyond what should have been possible. The Vin Empire had not changed this much in 300 years. Kral felt a cold worry in his chest, but he pushed it down. It did not matter. He was not here to study human civilization. He was here to kill one. Human, J1, locate human bio. Signature, J1, former military. Designation, 7742. He commanded the computer, the scanner. Worked for several minutes searching through billions of human life signs. Finally it beeped, target located, Seoul. Prime Research District Sector 9 Chromox. Studied the location data. Seoul Prime was one of the massive megacities home to nearly 50 million humans. The research district was heavily secured. Strange, why would an old soldier be there? J1 should be retired by now. Probably living quietly somewhere. Remote, unless he was not retired. Chromox plotted his approach vector. He would take the stealth ship down under cover of darkness, land in the outskirts, and infiltrate on foot. His enhancements would let him move unseen. His weapons would punch through any security. He would find J1, kill him, and leave before the humans even knew he was there. As he began the descent, K-Mox allowed himself to feel satisfaction. Revenge was close now. He could almost taste it. The ship slipped through Earth's atmosphere like a ghost, invisible to sensors. K-Mox marveled at how good human detection systems had become, even as his stolen VIN technology defeated them. The planet had indeed changed. He landed in an abandoned industrial zone on the edge of Seoul Prime. The buildings here were old by human standards, maybe 20 years, already being torn down for newer construction. Humans built and rebuilt constantly, always changing, always growing. K-Mox activated his cloaking field and left the ship. The city stretched before him, a forest of lights and sound. Flying vehicles zipped between buildings. Holographic advertisements glowed in the night. Millions of humans moved through the streets below. He moved silently across rooftops, heading toward the research district. His cybernetic enhancements made him faster and quieter than any natural VIN. His vision could see in multiple spectrums. His armor could deflect most weapons. He was the perfect killer, returning to finish what had started 30 years ago. It took him 3 hours to reach the facility where J1 was located. When he finally saw it, cram paused. The building was enormous. Tower of white metal and blue glass that stretched 200 stories into the sky. Security was everywhere. Drones patrolled the air. Sensors covered every approach. Armed guards in advanced armor stood at every entrance. This was not a place for a retired soldier. This was something else. K-Mox studied the security patterns for an hour, learning their rhythms. Then he moved. His cloaking field bent light around him. His hacking tools stolen from a dozen worlds broke through electronic locks. He slipped past guards like smoke. Invisible and silent. Inside the facility was even more impressive. Clean white corridors stretched in every direction. Scientists in lab coats hurried past, carrying tablets and discussing projects. Robots moved. Equipment, holographic displays showed data he could not understand. He followed J1's biosignature to the upper levels. Each floor required higher security clearance. Each floor had better defenses. Chromox bypassed them. All his pride growing. Human security was nothing compared to VIN warrior skills. Finally he reached a laboratory on the 150th floor. Through the window he could see a man working at a terminal. The man was tall for a human, with black hair touched with gray. He wore simple clothes and looked focused on his work. Chromox felt his heart's beat Faster, after 30 years there he was. J1 the human looked older, but only slightly. He should have been in his 60s by now, but he moved like someone much younger. His shoulders were still broad. His movements were still precise and controlled. K-Mox checked his weapons. His plasma blade was charged. His energy pistol was ready. His armor systems were at full power. He deactivated his cloaking field and stepped through the door. J1 looked up from his terminal. For a long moment, the two stared at each other across the laboratory. Then J1 smiled. It was not a smile of fear or surprise. It was a smile of recognition. K-Mox, the human said in perfect Vin language, "We've been expecting you." The laboratory lights suddenly blazed red. Alarms began to scream and crawl. Mox realized too late that he had walked into a trap. Red lights painted the laboratory blood colors. KWL Mox's battle instincts took over immediately. He raised his energy pistol and fired at J1. The shot never reached the human. A shimmering barrier of light appeared in the air. Between them, the energy blast hit it and scattered into harmless sparks. K-Mox fired again. Same result. The barrier did not even flicker. Hard light shielding. J1 said calmly, as if he were teaching a class. "We developed it 8 years ago. Your weapons are 60 years old. Crawl, they can't hurt me." K-Mox snarled and activated his plasma blade. The white-hot energy hummed to life in his hand. He lunged forward with the speed of his cybernetic enhancements, crossing the room in a heartbeat. The floor beneath him suddenly changed. Gravity reversed. K-Mox found himself flying upward toward the ceiling. He twisted in midair, confused and disoriented. Then gravity shifted again, slamming him sideways into a wall. Pain exploded through his body. His armor absorbed most of the impact, but not all. He crashed to the floor, struggling to stand. "Gravitational field generators," J1 explained, still standing calmly behind his shield. "We learned a lot from the species that visit us. We take their technology and make it better." K-Mox roared in fury and tried to charge again. This time the walls themselves moved. Panels slid aside, and dozens of small drones emerged, each one bristling with weapons. They surrounded him in seconds, their guns glowing with plasma energy. "I wouldn't move if I were you," a new voice said. K-Mox turned to see a human female enter the laboratory. She was small by human standards, maybe 5'12" ft tall, with short black hair and dark eyes. She wore a black combat suit that seemed to shimmer and shift. "This is Han," J1 said. "She's the chief of security here." Han moved, and Cromax's eyes could barely track her. One moment she was at the door, the next she was beside him, moving faster than should be possible. She struck him twice in the ribs with strikes that felt like hammer blows, then was back at the door before he could react. Cromax gasped for air. His armor had absorbed the hits, but he felt them through the metal. How was a small human so fast, so strong? Enhanced reflexes, Han said with a slight smile. Neural augmentation, muscle fiber enhancement, and bone density treatment. "I'm about 20 times faster than a normal human now." 20 times. The words echoed in K-Mox's mind. Normal human was already dangerous. What was a human 20 times faster? "Why are you doing this?" K-Mox demanded, looking at J1. "Why not just kill me?" "Because you're not here to kill me," J1 replied. He stepped around the hard light barrier. Approaching without fear, you're here. Because you're angry, because you feel humiliated, I understand that, but killing you would be pointless. I defeated you, Crawl shouted, 30 years ago you lost. J1 interrupted quietly. But you need to understand something. Krelmox, you didn't lose to me, you lost to what humanity could become. Door opened again, this time a young human male entered. He looked barely 20 years old, thin and pale, wearing glasses and casual clothes. He did not look like a warrior at all. This is Tae Min, J1 said. Show him Taman. The young man's eyes suddenly changed. They glowed with a soft blue light. He raised his hand and every screen in the laboratory turned on. Data flowed across them too fast to read. The drones that surrounded Klmox all moved in perfect unison, performing an intricate dance in the air. Neural interface, Taman said in a quiet voice. His words came faster than normal speech, as if his brain was processing information at incredible speeds. Direct connection to all computer systems in the building. I can control everything. Lights, doors, security, weapons. I am the building. Klmox stared in horror. This young human, who looked like he could barely fight, commanded technology like it was part of his own body. We've changed, J1 said. 30 years ago when you came to Earth, we were strong because of our world. High gravity made us tough. Extreme conditions made us adaptable. Evolution made us persistent. But we were technologically behind. Do you know what we did after you left? Klmox did not answer. He was trying to calculate escape routes, but everywhere he looked, he saw defenses he could not beat. We learned, J1 continued, every alien species that came to Earth. We studied them, the Vin, the Keelans, the Prox, the Yithians. We took their technology, reverse engineered it, and improved it. We combined it with our own Deathworlder advantages. We became something new. Your monsters, Kralmox whispered. No, Hun said sharply. We're survivors. Your species comes from a gentle world, low gravity, stable climate, few predators. You had to build technology to become warriors. We were born warriors. We just needed better tools. J1 nodded. I'm 65 years old. Klmox, I should be old and weak by now. But we've extended our lifespans, enhanced our bodies. I'm stronger and faster than I was when we fought, and I'm still learning, still improving. Klmox felt something he had not felt in 30 years. True fear. These humans were not the same species he had fought. They had evolved not through generations, but through will and science. They had weaponized their own nature. I'm going to let you leave, J1 said. The drones will escort you out of the building. You'll go back to your ship and leave Earth's solar system. If you ever come back, we'll destroy you. Why? Let me go. Because I want you to tell your people what you saw here, J1 replied. I want the Vin Empire to know humans are not prey anymore. We are not primitives to be hunted for sport. If your people come here looking for glory, they'll find only death. Taman's eyes glowed brighter. The drones moved to form a corridor leading to the door. Klmox knew he had no choice. He could fight and die here, or he could leave and live with another failure. He chose to live. Klmox walked slowly toward the door, his mind racing. The drones followed him through the corridors, down elevator shafts, through hallways filled with human workers who barely glanced at him. They all seemed so casual, so unconcerned. as if a ATFT alien warrior was nothing. Unusual how many alien visitors did they get. As he moved through the building, K-Match saw more and more things that shocked him. Humans lifting equipment that should have required machines, holographic displays showing star maps of systems far from Earth, weapons being tested that made his own gear look like ancient tools. Finally, he reached the ground floor. The drones stopped at the exit. Beyond the doors, he could see the city stretching into the night. Wait, a voice called. Krawls turned to see Hyun approaching. She moved at normal speed now, but he knew she could blur into motion at any moment. One more thing you should know, she said. J1 isn't special among humans. There are millions like him. Millions who have been enhanced and more. Every day, we're not just a few warriors anymore. We're becoming an entire species of Deathworlders with technology better than anything in the known galaxy. She stepped closer, her dark eyes meeting his yellow ones. Tell your people to stay away from Earth. Tell them humanity has ascended. Tell them that if the Vin Empire wants war, we and LT Unk and GT LL give them extinction. Then she turned and walked away, leaving KLM standing at the door. He stepped out into the night. The city hummed with life around him. Millions of humans, millions of Deathworlders, and if what Hun said was true, millions who were being enhanced and upgraded. KL Mox made his way back to his ship, moving through shadows and alleys. His pride was wounded worse than 30 years ago. Then he had lost a fight. Now he had lost before the fight even began. He reached his ship and climbed inside. His hands shook as he started the launch sequence. The ship lifted off, rising toward space. But as Earth fell away below him, K-Mox did not feel relief. He felt something else. He had come here thinking he was the hunter, but from the moment he entered Earth's solar system, they had been watching him, tracking him. They knew he was coming. They let him land, let him infiltrate their facility. J1 said they had been expecting him. That meant they had planned this, all of it, which meant he was never the hunter at all. He was the prey. KL Mox did not leave Earth's solar system. Instead, he hid his ship in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, among countless rocks and debris. There he watched and waited and tried to understand what humanity had become. His pride would not let him flee, not again, not without understanding his enemy. Using his ship's long-range sensors, he observed Earth from a safe distance. What he saw fascinated and terrified him. In equal measure, the planet was a hive of activity. Hundreds of ships came and went every day. Some were cargo vessels hauling resources from the moon and asteroid mines. Others were passenger ships carrying humans to orbital stations and colonies on Mars. Still others were military vessels, sleek and deadly, bristling with weapons. Earth had not just advanced, it had exploded into space. But Kramox wanted to understand more than just their technology. He wanted to understand the humans themselves. So he did something risky. He took a shuttle down to Earth again, but this time to a different location, a place with less security, a place where ordinary humans lived. He landed in the undercity of Sol Prime, the lower levels where the sun barely reached between the massive towers above. Here the buildings were older, built on top of even older structures. It was darker, grittier, but still cleaner and more organized than most Vin cities. Cromax activated his cloaking field and moved through the streets like a ghost. He watched humans go about their daily lives, workers heading to factories, families eating in restaurants, children playing in parks. They looked so normal, so fragile. How could these creatures be dangerous? Then he saw something that made him stop, a loading dock where a single human man was unloading cargo. Containers from a transport truck. Containers were massive, each one weighing at least 2 tons, according to KL Mox's scanner. On any VIN world, it would take a power loader machine or 3 strong workers to move one. Human was doing it alone. KL Mox watched in silence as the man, middle-aged with graying hair and wearing simple work clothed each container and lifted it. His muscles flexed, but he did not seem to strain. He moved the containers like they were light boxes, stacking them with casual efficiency. The man's name, Tag Reed Dong Hyen. When Dong Hun finished, he wiped his forehead and took a drink from a water bottle. He did not look special. He looked completely ordinary, but he had just done something that should have been impossible for a creature his size. Cromax scanned him with his ship's medical sensors, patching the data to his armor computer. The results shocked him. Dong Hun and LT Unk and GTS bones were laced with a carbon titanium compound, making them nearly unbreakable. His muscles had been enhanced with synthetic fibers that multiplied his strength. His heart and lungs were more efficient than natural human organs. He had been engineered to be stronger, tougher, better, and, according to the medical scan, 40% of humans in Soul Prime had similar enhancements. 40%. K-Mox moved to a different district, watching a medical clinic. Through the window, he saw a female doctor named G1 treating patients. She used handheld devices that scanned bodies in seconds, diagnosing problems that would take VIN doctors hours. She performed minor surgery with tools so precise they worked at the cellular level. Medicine that would require a full VIN hospital was being done in a small street clinic. Over the next several days, K-Mox observed and learned. He hacked into human information networks, reading their history files. What he discovered changed everything he thought he knew. After Cromax's defeat 30 years ago, something had shifted in humanity. They realized they were not alone in the universe. They realized they were physically superior to many species because of their harsh home world, but technologically inferior. J1 had become a leader in the movement to change that. He argued that humanity needed to enhance themselves to combine their death world or nature with advanced technology. Many humans agreed. The Human Enhancement Initiative was born. At first it was voluntary. Soldiers and workers got enhancements to do their jobs better, but the benefits were so obvious that more and more humans chose to be enhanced. Better health, longer life, increased strength, and speed. Who would refuse such gifts? Within 20 years, enhancement became normal. Now most humans had at least basic modifications. Some, like Han and Tin, had advanced far beyond that, but it was not just physical enhancement. KL Mox read about their technological progress with growing dread. 30 years ago, humans had sent a few primitive rockets to their moon. Now they had colonies on Mars, mining stations in the asteroid belt, and research outposts on the moons of Jupiter. Their ships could travel faster than light using drives. They had copied and improved from the Kellans. They had reverse-engineered technology from every species that visited Earth, Vin energy weapons, procs, holographic systems, Yithian, gravitational technology, Kellan FTL. Drives, they took it all, studied it, and made it better. Humans were natural engineers. KL Mox realized their death world had forced them to be creative, to solve problems with limited resources, give them advanced technology, and they would improve it in ways the original creators never imagined, but it was their philosophy that truly frightened him. K-Mox found a recording of J1 speaking at a conference 10 years ago. The human looked the same as he did now, barely aged, standing before thousands of people. "We are Deathworlders," J1 had said in the recording. "Earth tried to kill us for millions of years. Predators hunted us, diseases infected us, weather extremes tested us, gravity crushed us. And we survived. We survived by being stubborn, by being adaptable, by never giving up." The crowd had cheered. "Other species think we are brutal because we come from a brutal world. They are right. We are brutal. We are efficient. We are relentless. These are not weaknesses. These are our strengths. Now we must weaponize those strengths. We must combine our death world, or nature, with technology. We must become what evolution made us, the ultimate survivors." The crowd had roared its approval. K-Mox turned off the recording. His hands were shaking. He understood now. Humans were not trying to become peaceful or civilized like other advanced species. They were doing the opposite. They were taking their violent, competitive, never quit nature and amplifying it with science. They were building a species of super predators. He searched for more information about Earth's expansion into space. What he found made his blood run cold. Human ships had begun exploring beyond their solar system. They had made contact with several species, offering trade and friendship, but they had also shown their military power. When a pirate fleet tried to raid a human mining colony, the response was swift and brutal. Human warships hunted down every pirate vessel and destroyed them. No survivors, no mercy. Other species were starting to notice, starting to worry. The Keltans had closed their borders to human ships. The procs had issued warnings about human aggression. Even the mighty Yithians were watching humanity with concern. The galaxy was afraid of what Earth was becoming. K-Match sat in his hidden shuttle, processing all this information. He thought about his own people, the Vin Empire. They were warriors. Yes, they were proud of their military strength, but they were also old and set in their ways. They had not changed in centuries. Humans had changed everything in just 30 years. A terrible thought occurred to K-Mox. What if he had not lost to J1 30 years ago? What if he had won? What if he had killed that human and claimed his glory? He would have gone home a hero. He would have told his people that humans were easy prey. Other young Vin warriors would have come to Earth to hunt. More and more would have come, and they would have taught humanity that they needed to be even stronger, even more dangerous. They would have accelerated human militarization. K-Mox had lost the battle, but by losing he might have saved his species from something worse. Because now, looking at all the data, K-Mox understood the terrible truth. Humanity was not just advancing. They were preparing, building up their technology, enhancing their people, expanding into space. They were Getting ready for war, not a war of conquest. J1's speeches made that clear. Humans did not want to dominate the galaxy. They wanted to make sure no one could dominate them. They were building the capability to defend themselves against any threat, but a species with that much power, that much technology, that much Deathworlder ferocity. They would not stay defensive forever. They could not, their nature would not allow it. K-Mox made a decision. He could not kill J1. He understood that now, but he could not let this threat continue to grow unchecked either. He needed to send a message to the Vin Empire. They needed to know what humanity was becoming. They needed to prepare for the future when humans would inevitably expand beyond their small corner of space. But if he just told them, would they believe him? Would they take him seriously? Disgraced warrior who had failed twice. No, he needed proof. He needed to show them. Kramox began planning. He would lure J1 out, not to kill him but to test him to see the full extent of human capabilities. And he would record everything and send it to his people. He would go back to where it all started, the mountains, where they first fought, the place where Kramox had learned to fear Deathworlders. He would challenge J1 one more time, not for revenge, for the survival of his species. Because if the Vin Empire did not understand the threat, they would make the same mistake K-Mox had made 30 years ago, and this time there would be no second chances. The DMZ Memorial Forest was a strange place. Once it had been a militarized zone between two human nations. Now it was a protected wilderness, preserved as a reminder of old conflicts. Ancient trees grew tall and thick, streams ran clear over smooth stones. Wildlife moved freely through the undergrowth. It was here 30 years ago that K-Mox had fought and lost to J1. Now he stood in a clearing waiting. His armor was fully charged, his weapons were ready. Around his neck he wore a small device that transmitted everything he saw and heard directly to a Vin communications relay at the edge of the solar system. His people would see what humanity had become. He had sent a message to Ya's facility 3 hours ago. The message was simple: come alone to where we first fought, or I will destroy the medical clinic on 6th Street. Dr. G1 and her patients will die. K-Mox had no intention of actually harming civilians, but he needed Jan to come, needed him to come alone. Human warrior pride would not allow Ya to refuse such a challenge. The forest was quiet. Birds sang in the trees, wind rustled through leaves. It was peaceful, beautiful even. Kral had forgotten that Earth could be beautiful. He had only remembered it as a place of pain and defeat. You picked a good spot, a voice said. Kralmox spun around. J1 stood at the edge of the clearing wearing simple gray clothing, no armor, no visible weapons. He looked relaxed, hands in his pockets like he was out for a casual walk. You came alone, K-Mox said. You asked me to. Jan walked into the clearing, looking around at the trees. I remember this place. We fought for 2 days. You were so strong, so fast. I thought I was going to die. You should have died, Kramox replied. I had every advantage except one, J1 said with a slight smile. I wanted to live more than you wanted to kill. Kral felt his anger rising, but he controlled it. Anger made warriors sloppy. I did not bring you here for revenge anymore. J1 raised an eyebrow. No, I brought you here because my people need to understand what you have become. They need to see you, all of you, K-Mox gestured to the transmitter on his neck. They are watching now, I know, J1 said. Calmly. We detected your transmission 3 hours ago. We've been listening to your relay since you sent your message, KL Mox felt his confidence waver. Of course they had detected it, human. Sensor technology was better than Vin equipment. Now then you know why I am here, Cromach said. You told me that you wanted me to tell my people about humanity. I am doing that, but words are not enough. They need to see what you can do, Cromach. J1 nodded slowly. You want to test me to see how much we've advanced? Yes, and if I refuse, then I will find another way, but this is cleaner, simpler. 2 warriors, 1 battlefield. Just like before, Jay was quiet for a moment, looking up at the sky. Then he spoke, but not to KL Mox. You heard him. Hyan, what do you think? K-Mox's eyes widened. He activated his sensors, scanning the area. They're hidden in the trees, thermoptic camouflage active. At least 20 human soldiers surrounded the clearing, invisible until his advanced scanners found them, and somewhere overhead he detected the faint energy signature of orbital weapons. I think he's desperate. Hyan and LT Unk and GT's voice came from the forest. She stepped out from behind a tree, her camouflage deactivating. She wore full combat armor now, sleek and black, but I also think he's right. The Vin Empire needs to understand. More soldiers emerged from the forest. All of them wore advanced armor. All of them carried weapons that made K-Mox's gear look primitive. You were never alone, Cromach said, his voice flat. Of course not, J1 replied. I'm not stupid. Mox, you threatened civilians. Did you really think I would come without backup? I would not have harmed them. I know you're a warrior, not a murderer. But I couldn't take that chance. Jan walked closer, stopping a few feet away. You want to show your people what humanity has become? Fine, I'll give you that, but you need to understand something first. What? You didn't come here to test me. You came here to be tested. J1's expression grew serious. Han was right earlier. We've been developing countermeasures against the Vin Empire. Your biology, your technology, your combat patterns. We took DNA from our first fight, from the blood you left behind. We've studied your species for 30 years. K-Mox felt cold dread spreading through his body. You are not here for revenge, J1 continued. You are here because we let you be here. We tracked you from the moment you entered our solar system. We could have destroyed your ship, but we didn't. We wanted to see what you would do, how you would react. You are not a threat, KL Mox. You are a test subject. The words hit harder than any physical blow. K-Mox had thought he was the hunter, then realized he was prey, but it was worse than that. He was a laboratory specimen. Show him, Taman Juan said. The young human appeared from the forest, his eyes glowing with that eerie blue light. He raised his hand and a holographic display appeared in the air between them. It showed data, lots of data. Cromox's biosignature, his ship specifications, his weapons technology, his cybernetic enhancements, everything about him analyzed and cataloged. We know exactly how strong you are, Taman said in his rapid computer-like voice. How fast you can move, what weapons you carry, what your armor can withstand. We have run 10,000 combat simulations. In every single one we win. K-Mox wanted to Argue, but he could not. The data was right there. They knew everything about him. But this is not just about you, J1 said. This is about your species. We've been studying the Vin Empire, your military capabilities, your technology level, your expansion patterns. We know where your colonies are. We know how many ships you have. We know your strengths and weaknesses. Why? Cromwell demanded. Because you might come back, J1 said. Simply. Not you specifically, but your people. Young warriors looking for glory. Hunting parties seeking trophies. We needed to be ready. Hun stepped forward. When we fight the Vin Empire, and we will eventually, because that is how these things work, we will not lose. We have planned for this. We have prepared. You want war? Krall asked, confused. No. Juan said firmly, we want to make sure war never happens. We want to be so strong, so advanced, so clearly superior that no one dares to attack us. Peace through strength. It is an old human concept. That is madness. You cannot achieve peace by becoming the strongest predator. Why not? J1 asked. That is exactly what the Vin Empire did. What every major galactic power has done. They built weapons, conquered territories, and forced others to respect them. We are just doing it faster, better, with more efficiency. Kramox felt his world crumbling. Everything he believed about honor, about combat, about the natural order of strong and weak, it all meant nothing to these humans. They had taken warfare and turned it into a science. You said you wanted your people to see. J1 said so. Let us show them, not a fight, something better. Han, the female warrior, nodded. She touched a control on her wrist, and suddenly the forest lit up with light. Holographic displays appeared everywhere, showing images and data, images of human colonies on other worlds, images of human ships patrolling trade routes, images of human soldiers training with weapons that bent reality itself, images of orbital defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets. This is what we have built in 30 years, J1 said, his voice carrying across the clearing. This is what happens when Deathworlders decide to advance. We took our natural advantages, our strength, our endurance, our adaptability, and we multiplied them with technology. We became what evolution designed us to be, survivors, the best survivors in the galaxy. More images appeared. Human scientists working on projects KWL. Mox could not even understand. Artificial intelligence that learned and adapted faster than any organic mind. Weapons that manipulated gravity, time, and space itself. We are not your enemy, Ya said, looking directly at where KL Mox's transmitter would be, sending images to the Vin relay. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We do not want to dominate other species. We just want to be left alone, to grow and advance in peace. He paused, letting the images continue to display. But if anyone threatens us, if anyone attacks Earth or human colonies, if anyone tries to hunt us for sport or glory, J1's voice grew cold, we will respond with total force. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy. We will destroy you utterly and completely. That is not a threat. That is a promise. The images changed, showing battle simulations, human forces against Vin ships. The results were terrifying. In every scenario, the humans won decisively. Kramox watched, unable to look away. His people needed to see this, needed to understand now, J1 said, turning back to K. Mox. You wanted to test me. Fine. Let us fight, but first I need to know. Are you doing this for revenge, for pride, or are you truly trying to save your species? K-Mox thought about the question, why was he really here? The anger he had carried for 30 years felt distant now. What remained was something else, something he had not felt before. Duty to save them, Cromwell said quietly. If they do not understand, they will come to Earth seeking glory, and they will die. And Jawan nodded. Then we fight. Not to the death, but to show them what they would face. He gestured to his soldiers. They all withdrew back into the forest, giving the clearing space. J1 rolled his shoulders, loosening muscles. Ready when you are. K-Mox activated his plasma blade. The white energy hummed to life, and in that moment, standing in the forest where it all began, Kral realized something profound. He was not fighting for revenge anymore. He was fighting to deliver a message. Stay away from humanity. They have ascended beyond you. K-Mox moved first, his cybernetically enhanced body exploding into motion. He covered the distance to J1 in less than a second, plasma blades singing through the air toward the human's neck. J1 was not there. The human had moved faster than Cromox's eyes could track. One moment standing still, the next. Behind him, K-Mox felt a foot strike his spine with incredible force, sending him stumbling forward. He spun and slashed. Again, J1 ducked under the blade and struck with his fist. The punch hit Kralmox's armor and dented it. Vin military armor with a bare fist. Kral snarled and activated his full combat suite. His armor's servos whined to life, multiplying his strength. His targeting systems locked onto J1. His neural enhancers accelerated his reaction time. They fought. It was nothing like their battle 30 years ago. Then it had been brutal and desperate. Two fighters pushing themselves to their limits. This was different. This was clinical, precise, like two masters demonstrating their art. J1 fought without any weapons. His enhanced body was weapon enough. Every movement was efficient, wasting no energy. He struck with fists that could shatter stone. He moved with speed that blurred reality. He predicted K-Mox's attacks before they came, reading his body language with enhanced perception. But Cromox was no ordinary fighter either. His 30 years of training showed. His cybernetic enhancements made him faster and stronger than any natural. His plasma blade could cut through almost anything. Almost when his blade finally connected with J1's arm, it should have severed the limb. Instead, it slid across the human's skin with a shower of sparks. Underneath his normal clothes, J1 wore a layer of synthetic skin embedded with carbon nanotubes. Not quite armor, but close enough. Impressive, J1 said, not even breathing hard. You have improved, so have you. K-Mox admitted. They circled each other, looking for openings. But K-Mox was not focused on winning anymore. He was focused on showing the Vin Empire what humanity had become. Every move J1 made, every technique he used was being transmitted back to his people. High above, unseen, something was happening that neither fighter knew about yet. At the edge of Earth's solar system, a Vin battle fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. 5 massive warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. They had received K-Mox's distress beacon, the one he had activated before entering the forest. The beacon that would trigger automatically if his life signs stopped. The fleet commander, Warchief Zalver, stood on the bridge of his flagship. He had watched K-Mox's transmission. He had seen what the humans had built, and he had made a decision. Humanity was a threat that needed to be eliminated before it grew too strong. Prepare weapons, Zalver commanded. We strike the human home world with everything we have, but Earth was not unprepared. The moment the Vin fleet entered the solar system, alarms went off across every human installation. Orbital defense platforms powered up. Military vessels scrambled from shipyards on the Moon and Mars, and deep underground in command centers across Earth. Human commanders began coordinating their response. One of those commanders was General Sububin, 40-year veteran with neural enhancements that let her process tactical information faster than any computer. She stood in the Sole Defense Command, watching holographic displays that showed the Vin fleet approaching. 5 capital ships. Her tactical officer reported, heavy cruiser class they are. Charging weapons, time to firing range. Subin asked calmly, 18 minutes at current speed. Good. Subin touched a control on her command station. Activate defensive grid, deploy the orbital platforms, launch the interceptor squadrons, and someone get me aligned to J1, back in the forest. J1's communication device chirped. He caught Kralmox's blade with his bare hand, the synthetic skin holding against the plasma energy, and stepped back. Hold on, he said, touching his ear. He looked at K-Mox. Your people just arrived, 5 warships. At the edge of the solar system, they are heading for Earth with hostile intent. K-Mox felt his heart sink. No. This was not supposed to happen. He had sent them information. Yes, but not a call for invasion. They must have misunderstood, or perhaps they understood perfectly and decided to act. First, they are going to die, J1 said. Not angry, not upset, just stating a fact. Stop them, Kromech said urgently. Please, they are my people, they think they are rescuing me, no, Han said. Stepping back into the clearing, she held a tablet showing the space battle that was beginning. They knew exactly what they were doing. We intercepted their communications. They saw your transmission and decided we were too dangerous to let grow. They are here to destroy us. K-Mox watched the display. Horror. The Vin fleet was massive. 5 capital ships that had conquered dozens of worlds. They were the pride of the Empire, the strongest force the Vin could field. Against them, Earth was deploying everything. Orbital defense platforms, each one bristling with rail guns and missile batteries, moved into position. Squadrons of human fighters launched from the Moon, their sleek forms accelerating to impossible speeds. Larger human warships emerged from behind Mars, their hulls covered in weapon ports. But it was not just the numbers, it was the technology. The first Vin ship opened fire with plasma cannons that could melt a mountain. The beams lanced across space toward an orbital platform. The platform's shields absorbed the hit without even flickering. Then it returned fire. What emerged from the human platform was not a simple energy beam. It was a gravitational lance that warped space itself. When it hit the Vin ship, the vessel's shields collapsed like paper. The hull crumpled inward, folding on itself as gravity crushed it. One shot. One Vine capital ship destroyed. No. Kromech whispered. The battle continued. Human fighters swarmed the Vin fleet like angry insects, but each fighter moved with precision that only neural interfaces could provide. Each pilot was enhanced, their reflexes amplified, their minds directly connected to their ships. They flew in patterns that were mathematically perfect, coordinating attacks across thousands of miles of space in real time. The Vin point defense systems designed to fight conventional enemies could not track them. A human warship engaged a Vin cruiser directly. The Vin ship was 3 times larger, more heavily armed. It should have won easily. Instead, the human ship deployed weapons that the Vin had never seen: antimatter torpedoes that bypassed shields, nanite swarms that ate through hull plating, quantum disruptors that made the Vin ship's own power systems explode from within. The cruiser broke apart in a silent explosion of fire and metal. "Make it stop," KW said, his voice breaking. "Please, I cannot stop it," J1 replied. "Quietly, your fleet attacked us. We are defending ourselves. This is what war looks like when you fight Deathworlders." Another Vin ship died, torn apart by concentrated railgun fire. The slugs were traveling at significant fractions of light speed. When they hit, they carried the force of nuclear weapons. The remaining 2 Vin ships tried to retreat, to jump back to faster than light speed, but the human forces had deployed field disruptors that prevented FTL travel in the combat zone. The Vin ships were trapped, unable to flee. Warchief Zalver, standing on his bridge, watched his fleet die around him. He had been so certain, so confident that Vin superiority would prevail. They were the conquerors. They were the warriors, but humanity had taken warfare to a level he could not comprehend. They fought with weapons generations beyond Vin technology. They moved with coordination that seemed almost psychic. Every tactic he tried, they had already anticipated and countered. "Send a communication," Zalver ordered his communications officer. "Request parley. Immediate cessation of hostilities." Response came within seconds. A female human appeared on his view screen. She wore a military uniform and had cold, calculating eyes. "I am General Subban of Earth Defense Command," she said, in perfect Vine language. "You attacked our home world without provocation. Why should we accept your surrender?" "Why, we made a mistake," Zor said, the words tasting like poison. "We thought you were a threat." "We are a threat," Subban replied. "We are a threat to anyone who tries to harm us. You have 2 ships left. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. If you refuse, we will destroy you." Zalver looked at his remaining ships. They were damaged, listing their shields failing. He had brought 5 of the Vryan Empire's finest warships to destroy a primitive world. Instead, he had lost 3 ships in less than 15 minutes. His remaining vessels were outmatched and outgunned by an enemy he had underestimated catastrophically. "We comply," he said, shame thick in his voice. In the forest, Kamox watched the battle end on Hun's tablet. His people, the proud Vin warriors, had been crushed, defeated, humiliated, just as he had been 30 years ago. "What will you do with them?" he asked quietly. "We will take their ships," J1 said. "Study their technology, keep the survivors as prisoners until the Vin Empire agrees to formal negotiations. We will establish clear boundaries, make it known that Earth and human space are off limits. Any violation will result in immediate military response. You are declaring yourself a power in the galaxy. We are declaring that we will not be victims. J1 corrected, we will not be hunted, we will not be threatened, we will live in peace if others allow it, but if they force war upon us, we will win. K-Mox looked at the human who had defeated him. Twice now, no, not defeated. Transcended, J1 was not just a better fighter, he represented a better, stronger, more evolved version of what intelligence could become. What will you do with me? K-Mox asked. J1 was quiet for a moment thinking, then he said, I am going to send you home, back to the Vin Empire. You will tell them what you saw. Hear all of it, the technology, the enhancements, the battle, everything. They will not believe me. Yes, they will, because we are sending your war chief home too. He will confirm everything. And together, you will deliver a message to your government. What message? That humanity has ascended. That we are no longer primitives playing with fire. We are Deathworlders who have weaponized our evolution and combined it with technology beyond anything the Vin Empire possesses. J1 stepped closer. Tell them they have 3 choices. Unbarty, K-Mox waited. First choice, submit. Join the growing alliance of species that trade peacefully with humanity. Benefit from our technology and protection, but accept that we are the superior power in this relationship. They will never accept that. Then second choice, negotiate, establish clear boundaries, mutual non-aggression. We leave you alone, you leave us alone. We can coexist without conflict, and they. Third choice, J1's expression turned cold. War, total war. If the Vin Empire chooses to see us as enemies, we will oblige them. We will not conquer your worlds, but we will make sure you can never threaten us again. We will destroy your fleets, your shipyards, and leave you unable to project military power beyond your own territory. We will not be cruel, but we will be thorough. The words hung in the air between them. K-Mox understood. This was not arrogance, this was absolute confidence. Backed by absolute capability, I will deliver your message, K-Mox said, but I do not think my people will choose wisely. Pride is strong in the Vin. Then they will learn the same lesson you learned, J1 replied. That pride means nothing against superior force. That honor means nothing if you cannot back it up. That the universe does not care about traditions or glory. It only cares about who is strong enough to survive. He approached with several soldiers. We will escort you to your ship. Wararchief Zever will be released at the same time. You will both return to Vin space with our message. K-Mox nodded. He looked at J1. One last time. 30 years ago I came to Earth to prove I was a great warrior. I failed. Today I came to understand why. Now I know you did not just defeat me. You showed me what true strength looks like. Strength is not about individual glory, J1 said. It is about species survival, about protecting your people, about being strong enough that no one dares to harm those you love. That is what we have built. That is what we will defend. K-Mox was escorted away through the forest back to his ship. As he walked, he thought about everything he had seen, everything he had learned. Humanity had been prey once, hunted by predators on their death world. They had survived by being smarter, tougher, more relentless than anything that tried to kill them. Now they had brought that same mindset to the stars. They had become the apex predators of the galaxy. And the Vin Empire, like every other species, would have to accept the new Reality, the Deathworlders had ascended. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 months later, K-Match stood before the High Council in the Great Hall where the Empire's rulers gathered. Beside him stood War Chief Zalver, still bearing the shame of his defeat. The council members, elderly Vin with scales dulled by age, listened as K.L. Mox delivered his report. He told them everything, showed them everything. The recordings of human technology, the battle in space, the message from J1. When he finished, the chamber was silent. Finally, the eldest counselor spoke. 3 choices: submit, negotiate, or face extinction. Yes. Eldest K-Match said, the humans are truly that strong, stronger. Zalver said, I have commanded fleets for 40 years. I have fought in 30 campaigns. I have never seen anything like what they deployed against us. It was not just their weapons, it was their coordination, their adaptability, their absolute refusal to lose. The eldest counselor looked at the other council members. We must decide the future of our empire. What is the council's will? The debate lasted for hours. Some wanted to fight to gather the full might of the Vin military and crush humanity before they grew stronger. Others argued for caution, for negotiation. In the end, wisdom prevailed over pride. We will negotiate, the eldest counselor announced. Send ambassadors to Earth, establish formal relations, and make it clear to all Vin. Humanity is not to be threatened, hunted, or challenged. They are to be treated as equals, or perhaps. He paused. As superiors, the word stung. But it was honest. K-Mox felt relief wash over him. His people would survive. They would adapt. They would learn, just as he had learned 30 years ago in a forest. On Earth, the predator had returned for revenge and found that the prey had evolved into something far more dangerous. And in finding that truth, he had saved his entire species from destruction.